Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We are back on Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia, the Republican Party, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist Eric Lavine. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. So, Jesse, I want to talk to you about, you had the privilege and pleasure as being the vice chair of the state party as well as the county chair in Suffolk, which is one of the leading county organizations in the state. I submit, as an outsider looking in to the Republican Party, I would submit that Nassau and Suffolk and a couple other places are really the strength of the Republican Party in the state. I'm very concerned about the survival of the state of New York. I'm concerned for a couple of reasons. Number one, as far as I'm concerned, as the House Democrat, the Democratic Party, the traditional Democratic Party that I grew up in, whose values I believed in, the party of Hubert Humphrey and Jack Kennedy and Scoop Jackson, Walter Mondale, people like that party is dead or dying right now. The Democratic Party, certainly in New York State, and there's movement all across the country, is being taken over by the so-called Democratic Socialists. They are not Democrats, they are Socialists. And some of them are even more rabid than just mere Socialists. A lot of them are close to being communists or anarchists. And they have taken over the traditional Democratic Party. They're the tail that wags the dog.
They're not the tail. They are the dog.
They are and it's a mean, ugly, dangerous dog, as it is. And I'm a dog lover, folks. Okay, so I asked this question. What does this mean for the future of the state? And related to that is, unfortunately, we do not have a two-party system in the state of New York. We certainly don't have a two-party system in the city of New York. You do have it in places like Suffolk and Nassau County and a few upstate counties. The problem with this, and Jesse and Eric and I have talked about this, as a matter of real concern to me, Kathy Hochul and the hacks in the state legislature, the Assembly and the Senate, pushed through a law, dangerous law, making the local elections in the even number years with the more general elections, which undermines the ability of the Republican Party to have leadership and control of the local governments, whether it's the county legislators and the county office holders, whether it's the town boards, the town councils. This is a real problem because there are 3 million more Democrats registered in the state of New York than Republicans, and we're on our way to having if we don't already have a dictatorship of one party, which is always dangerous. So, Jesse, what are your thoughts and what's your report from the convention in Garden City that you just had?
Yeah, I just want to say that there is a great dichotomy between the two conventions. The Democrats were in Syracuse on Friday and Saturday of last week, and you never heard a peep from them. There was nothing in the mainstream media. There was very little social media presence. It's almost like the Democrats wanted to just slink away, not let anybody know they were gathering, not let them see their problems where, as you said, the anarchists have taken over the traditional Democratic Party here in the state of New York. The only thing that did pop out was, as we discussed off air, that on their party platform, they want to legislate and actually make, through legislation, New York a sanctuary state, something that we've opposed to. And at any point, by executive order or removal of an executive order,
I'm afraid that they're going to push it through Jesse, my concern is that Kathy Hochul, who'll do anything to get herself reelected, is going to push that through the legislation.
That by embracing, she has certainly done that by embracing Zohan Mandami. I mean, his endorsement finally came in for her as the Democratic convention began. Certainly the AOCs of the world. So right now, the Democratic Socialists of New York run the party. As Eric pointed out, they're the dog. The traditional Democrats that have been the stalwarts of this party, the opposition party, are now the tail, and they don't wag anything. They may wag all the dissent from bad, very bad legislation. That's basically what they do. But in the Republican Garden City, and I got to give great credit, because if it was said once, it was said several hundred times during the Republican convention that kicked off with a rally with almost 1,000 people in Garden City on Monday night. And then myself and Joe Cairo, the chairman of the Nassau County Republican Committee, and his home county executive, Bruce Blakeman, was nominated on Wednesday to be unanimously the Republican governor, and he also has the conservative nomination as well. That it was filled with energy. One of the things we spoke about is that it's a teamwork. The success that we have here in Suffolk is not just by one person. It's by a team of elected officials and committee members and volunteers and like-minded individuals. The same goes for Nassau County under Joe Cairo. And Long Island, as you said, is a bastion of a Republican operation. There's two teammates, two co-captains there. Those co-captains are Joe Cairo, who's also a national committee member, and probably regarded, from my point, he's a friend first and a mentor. He is regarded as the best Republican Party county chairman in the country, if not the state of
It's the second best, Jesse. He's the second.
Co-equal best with you, Jesse.
He's the best. He's the best because we do it together. So in saying that, here's the thing: in New York, in Garden City, we gathered hundreds of state committee members. We went even further more with almost 1,000 volunteers, onlookers, supporters. The energy was palpable. I mean, the Garden City Hotel was rocking with great energy, great music, great speakers the entire time. I mean, we saw it in all our local media outlets. We saw it on social media. We saw that the unity that we are moving, we're unified. As we go forward. We had a great kickoff to this where, he now serves as the EPA administrator, Lee Zeldon, but, Lee Zeldon came within a whisker of becoming governor 4 years ago. And regardless of everything else or what you want to say about the highlights of an outstanding career in public service and in politics, Lee Zeldon should be regarded in one way. He delivered a Republican House majority in 2022, and it came right through New York, and it was emanated out of his campaign. So as we go forward here, we see that the Democrats are now captured by the Democratic Party, is now captured by the Democratic Socialists. It's a left-wing operation that its policies lead to literally death. Here's Zohran Mamdani, who said he's not going to remove the homeless encampments and bring those, tragic individuals who, for financial reasons, maybe from addictions, maybe from mental diseases, he did not bring them into warming shelters or anything else. He left them outside to die. 18 of them have lost their lives because of Zohran Mamdani. And now you can see that the shine has come off the rose a bit now. Those are the examples we're going to put forward. It was an amazing presentation in Garden City over the last 3 days, where we were able to demonstrate and highlight the course for success, the course to save New York, and to break the one-party rule. That's by controlling and lowering taxes, backing our cops, by hiring more cops, prosecutors, and detectives, and emboldening them with tough new laws and repealing bad ones like cashless bail. And of course, to end the green scam that wants to end all, natural gas and oil from our hookups and new constructions and force it into, could you imagine electric buses running in 10 degree below weather that we've been experiencing?
Well, you can't imagine it because it's an impossibility.
Possibility. I think it actually did happen in some cases.
And they catch, New York. And don't forget, they catch fire too under those circumstances.
Yes, they do. So it was going to be good. we are going to prosecute, Bruce Blakeman is going to prosecute the case and highlight policies that have been successful in a purple county. Even though it's dominated by Republicans, Democrats out-register Republicans by 110,000 individuals in the county of Nassau. And what did Bruce Blakeman do? In 2021, he knocked off a sitting incumbent Democrat, Popular, who made the stupidity and the arrogance of putting forward a $120 million tax increase on the taxpayers. Bruce Blakeman campaigned and successfully rejected and reversed that tax increase. And he's also going to identify the highlights in criminal safety, because one of the safest, if not the safest, county in the country, against that of the failures of Kathy Hochul. So, the best thing that was said is by the last Republican governor, who said when he announced he was running for governor in 1994, and everyone was looking around saying to themselves, and at least in our circles, I remember, because I was working campaigns back then, and the New Yorkers did too, what's a Pataki? But George Pataki, by the end of that election, everyone knew who George Pataki was. He was the newest governor, the first Republican governor in a generation in the state of New York, and he defeated a legendary Mario Cuomo. So we see a lot of similarities. We're going to be building upon the work that was done by the Zeldon in 2022. We know the path to go there. We know where our weaknesses are. We know where our strengths are, and we're going to build on both on those issues. And the fact that we have someone who is of the Jewish faith who can once again go into those communities and break the members of the Jewish community away from Democrats again, because I just don't understand how anyone, and Eric, I hope I'm not.
Well, I'm going to turn this over to Eric, because he's the other Republican in the studio.
Yeah,
I'm being the Democrat.
I don't understand how any member of the Jewish faith could ever vote Democrat after what the Democrats continue to do to Israel and the Jewish people here.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit I don't understand my co-religionists who vote Democratic, but I'm glad you had a great experience at the Garden City Hotel. The last time I was there was for a wedding, and the room was supposed to be ready at 3, and it wasn't ready until 5, and we almost missed the ceremony. But putting that aside, I don't want to disparage the Garden City Hotel.
I like the Garden City Hotel.
I've been there.
Beautiful. It's a great hotel.
It's beautiful. They were just having trouble with their linen, but putting that aside for a moment.
Well, you should have phoned Jesse, and he would have taken care of it.
He would have taken care of us, exactly. I wish I shared, Jesse's optimism. I just simply don't. Look, I support Bruce Blakeman. I'm going to vote for Bruce Blakeman. I think he'd be a fantastic governor. Polls are not looking good. Unfortunately, the Republican Party statewide is not as strong as we would like. It really doesn't exist at all in New York City. And we have to find ways to try and, since Republicans are having trouble winning statewide elections, we have to find a way to try and bring the Democratic Party back to normalcy. And one thing I might suggest, at least in New York City, because you do have strongholds for Republicans in Suffolk and Nassau, in no small part to the great work of the Republican leadership there, Jesse. But in New York City, in the 5 boroughs, I think Republicans have to registered Republicans have to start giving very serious thought to registering as Democrats and voting in Democratic primaries, because the general elections are decided in the primaries. And if Republicans are going to have any role, at least in New York City, they're going to have to start voting in those primaries. Zoran Mamdani was able to win. And let's be clear on my view of Zoran Mamdani. He's a communist. He's a Jew hater. He's a really bad guy. And the fact that 18 people froze to death, he just really doesn't care, because it's not about governing, it's about revolution. It's not about people coming from around the world, immigrating to the United States and becoming Americans. It's about people coming to the United States and fundamentally changing America. It's about revolution for someone like that. So we need to stop people like Zoran Mamdani. We need to stop the Democratic Socialists of America that have taken over the Democratic Party. And really, we have to start thinking strategically. Democrats do it all the time. They try to screw up Republican primaries by either registering in Republican primaries or supporting candidates that will make it more.
Mamdani's team had the Socialists registered in the Democratic Party for the Democratic primary.
Right, and exactly. Republicans, I think, citywide need to start abandoning the Republican Party, in primaries. They're free to vote however they want to vote in the general election. But if we want to start moving the city and the state back to the center, our votes have to count. And right now in primaries, in cities in places like New York, where the primaries decide the general election, we don't count. So I think we have to start as I said, we have to start registering the Democratic Party so we can vote in the primaries. Statewide, I wish Bruce Blakeman the greatest of luck. I think he's a fabulous candidate. I agree with most of his platforms and his positions. I can't think of a thing that Kathy Hochul does other than she's banning phones from being in schools through the day. Other than that, I can't really think of anything I agree with her on. She's a horrible governor. She's boring. She's not particularly bright. She's weak. She's owned by Mamdani. She's owned by the Democratic Socialists. But she's up by the most recent poll, 30 points? Something crazy like that. Now, I have no doubt that Blakeman's going to narrow that gap. But that's a very, very heavy lift. So I think we have to start at basics. And start of the basics is we have to start bringing everything back to the center. And at least for ground zero of New York City, I think we have to start playing in the Democratic primary, making it more difficult for zealots, revolutionaries, evil people. I will be out there and say it. I think Zoran Mamdani is an evil guy. And that we need to start removing these people from positions of power and moving back to the center. And we have to start thinking strategically about how we're going to do that.
Jesse, do you want to respond to Eric's comments?
Well, it's not unlikely. It's not new that a Republican would be down early in the game of a statewide race here in the state of New York. That not only didn't happen in 2022 with Lee Zeldon, it also occurred in 1994 with Governor Pataki. The state has changed from 94 to 2026. That is true. But here's the thing.
The Blakeman voters have left the state. There are fewer of us. They've gone to Florida and North Carolina. There was another huge difference besides policy that was discussed in the Republican state convention that you did not hear, nor would you ever hear in the Democrat state convention or any convention of the Democratic Party right now. It's an appeal for Republicans, not only to the unaffiliated voters, but to Democrats from their grandfathers and their fathers' party who cannot recognize them, who are sick and tired of the Mandamis of the world, who are sick and tired of the AOCs of the world, who are sick and tired of the policies that now are making them less safe. And now you have Democrats reaching into their pockets, not into just Long Island taxpayers, but throughout the state of New York, Westchester, and up in the North Country, the Hudson Valley, the Central District, and so on, and the Southern Tier, and more. They realize these issues, and they've now fought Kathy Hochul. See, Kathy Hochul, right or wrong, came in late in the campaign in 2022 when then Andrew Cuomo resigned, and the campaign had to shift a bit. And so I do believe that, and I can assess that voters were still, especially in New York City, going to give Kathy Hochul that opportunity and that chance. And that may have had a small impact. And in a race decided by a few 100,000 votes, that's tantamount. Here, it is. You cannot blame Andrew Cuomo. You cannot blame anybody else. Everything from the endorsements of Mamdani to congestion pricing and lying to the people of New York City and the surrounding communities about congestion pricing by suspending it for the purposes of pure politics to try and secure a Democratic majority in the House, and then only once again to reinstate it literally a week after Election Day. We're seeing the same thing on the ban of natural gas and oil on new construction. She's trying to pause that because she's trying to get to her election. I don't know if it was Eric or the judge that said this, but I think you both agree with it. She is a political partisan animal that has one mission and one mission only: to get herself elected. And it does not matter who's in her way or what she needs to do or who
she needs to embrace and what policy she needs to embrace.
Right, I agree with you.
She's going to do that.
I agree with you. She's a horror show, and she's weak, and she's craven, and she'll do whatever she has to do. But because she has been so successful in forcing moderates and Republicans out of the state, New York City has even a larger proportion of the statewide vote. And that's where her base is, and that's where Zohar Mamdani is going to help her get out the vote. And that's why we have to start normalizing and
that's
moderating.
Where we have the ability to do coalition building.
Right, okay.
But the ability to do coalition building, once again, as started by Lee Zeldon when he went into the Asian
Look, I love Lee Zeldon. Lee's a personal friend of mine, and he was spectacular, and I worked real hard to try to get him elected. My point is that in the 4 years that Kathy Hochul's been there since, the state there's a beginning of a death spiral, and part of that death spiral is that taxpayers and people who contribute to our society are leaving in droves, and those are Republican voters. Those are the Blakeman voters, and that's a real problem.
It's a problem, but that's a problem that's calculated. It's the same problem we had in 2022. We had a tremendous out migration of voters. Would you think that they were Democrats that were leaving? No,
but the numbers have only increased. My point is those numbers have only increased.
True.
So it makes it that much more difficult. When Pataki won, the state was already tired of Mario Cuomo in his third term. Yes. He had run aground, and they were looking for a change.
It was as simple as ABC, anybody but Cuomo.
Exactly. Zohar Mamdani is still... it's still a new face. As I can't look at it, it's the demonic smile of his.
New face. He's a new face, but his presence is being felt, and I think we could all agree that this is probably the shortest honeymoon that any mayor has ever had, any elected official has ever had. Not only is his traditionally first test is a snowstorm upon taking office, because they take offices in January, he failed in that measure. Number two, he has failed by leading to the deaths of 18 individuals.
Well, that's my point, that he's not interested in governing. He's interested in revolution. That's the point.
Exactly.
And the people who love him are going to love him no matter what he does, and the other people like myself, he's never going anywhere.
Okay, unfortunately,
regardless of an endorsement, even if you love him, they're not going to love Kathy Hochul. So one of the other ways that we do have an advantage here in a competitive race is that many of those Zohar Mamdani voters, the DSA voters, may pass on governor and go shoot for city council, may shoot for a state legislature where there are a lot of openings and primaries going on, and of course in the House.
Well, I got the signal from talk about going somewhere. We're going to have an out-migration today from the show, as much fun as this has been. On behalf of Chairman Garcia, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist Eric Lavine, and myself, Judge Richard Weinberg, we're delighted to have you listening to us week after week. We hope you enjoy the conversations. This has been Let the Record Show. We look forward to being with you again next week on the show. As always, God bless you, God bless your families, and of course, God bless America. Thank you.